Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody who is joining us here on our program this afternoon, this morning, or this evening, whenever you might be able to see it. We want to welcome everybody here and welcome them with open arms. And I want to also say Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. All my friends, all my dear, dear friends and family, thank you for being here. Happy Valentine's Day. Berlinda, Koi, Sleeping Volcano, Rebecca Griffiths, one of my dearest friends. Berlinda, thank you all for being here. I want to thank everybody who will be joining us here very shortly. Thank you all for being here. Now, as we have done before, I'm going to chance this today. We're going to try to start off this program with the salute to the United States military, the salute to the United States government, with the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America, and the singing of the national anthem. I would ask everyone now to please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic.
With over a decade.
Sorry, guys. We'll start this over in just a minute. Let's start this over.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. And the state of the star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
Let them know it. The United States Army Barbershop Quartet performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. We've gotten permission from the Army to use this. We've gotten permission from the Barbershop Quartet to use this. And hopefully YouTube will go along with it this time. We've been doing it for years, and now the YouTube, up until this past week, or after this past week, has not wanted us to do it. I really don't give a darn. I honestly don't give a darn. We want to pay tribute to our military men and women. We want to pay tribute to our country. We want to pay tribute to all the servicemen and women around the globe. May you all be blessed with God's greatest blessings. Thank you for your service, ladies and gentlemen. May God bring you home safely to your families after your tours of duty end. And thanks so much for your service. God bless you. Thank you so much. Now, folks, we have a lot to talk about tonight. Okay? A lot to talk about. I want to first start off talking about something that's important to my heart, and I believe it's important to all of us. Let me load this video for you. I was hoping to have it loaded before now, but let me load it right now.
Mr. Zuckerberg, let me start with you. Did I hear you say in your opening statement that there's no link between mental health and social media use?
Senator, what I said is I think it's important to look at the science. I know people widely talk about this as if that is something that's already been proven, and I think that the bulk of the scientific evidence does not support that.
Well, really, let me just remind you of some of the science from your own company. Instagram studied the effect of your platform on teenagers. Let me just read you some quotes from the Wall Street Journal's report on this. Company researchers found that Instagram is harmful for a sizable percentage of teenagers, most notably teenage girls. Here's a quote from your own study. Quote, "We make body image issues worse for 1 in 3 teen girls." Here's another quote. Teens blamed Instagram, this is your study, for increases in the rate of anxiety and depression. This reaction was unprompted and consistent across all groups. That's your study.
Senator, we try to understand the feedback and how people feel about the services. We can improve.
Wait a minute, your own study says that you make life worse for 1 in 3 teenage girls. You increase anxiety and depression. That's what it says, and you're here testifying to us in public that there's no link. You've been doing this for years. For years, you've been coming in public and testifying under oath that there's absolutely no link. Your product is wonderful. The science is nascent, full speed ahead, while internally, you know full well your product is a disaster for teenagers.
Senator,
and yet you keep right on doing what you're doing. Right?
That's not true. That's not true.
Let me show you some other facts I know that you're familiar with. Wait a minute. That's not a question. That's not a question. Those are facts, Mr. Zuckerberg. That's not a question.
Those aren't facts.
Let me show you some more facts. Here's some information from a whistleblower who came before the Senate, testified under oath in public. He worked for you. It's a senior executive. Here's what he showed he found when he studied your products. So, for example, this is girls between the ages of 13 and 15 years old. 37% of them reported that they had been exposed to nudity on the platform unwanted in the last 7 days. 24% said that they had experienced unwanted sexual advances they'd been propositioned in the last 7 days. 17% said they had encountered self-harm content pushed at them in the last 7 days. Now, I know you're familiar with these stats because he sent you an email where he lined it all out. I mean, we've got a copy of it right here. My question is, who did you fire for this? Who got fired because of that?
Senator, we study all of this because it's important and we want to improve our services.
Well, you just told me a second ago you studied it, that there was no linkage. Who did you fire?
I said you mischaracterized.
37% of teenage girls between 13 and 15 were exposed to unwanted nudity in a week on Instagram. You knew about it. Who did you fire?
Senator, this is why we're building all
Who did you fire?
Tools. Senator, I don't think that's...
Who did you fire?
I'm not going to answer that.
Because you didn't fire anybody, right? You didn't take any significant action.
It's appropriate to talk about like individual
it's not appropriate.
HR decisions.
Do you know who's sitting behind you? You've got families from across the nation whose children are either severely harmed or gone, and you don't think it's appropriate to talk about steps that you took? The fact that you didn't fire a single person? Let me ask you this. Have you compensated any of the victims?
Sorry?
Have you compensated any of the victims? These girls, have you compensated them?
I don't believe so.
Why not? Don't you think they deserve some compensation for what your platform has done? Help with counseling services, help with dealing with the issues that your service has caused?
Our job is to make sure that we build tools to help keep people safe.
Are you going to compensate them?
Senator, our job and what we take seriously is making sure that we build industry-leading tools to find harmful content,
make money.
take it off the services,
To make money.
and to build tools that empower parents.
So you
that
didn't
help
take
more
any
people.
action. You didn't
That's
take
not
any
true,
action.
Senator.
You didn't fire anybody. You haven't
not true.
compensated a
That's
single
not-
victim.
that's
Let
not
me
what I
ask you
said.
this. Let me ask you this. There's families of victims here today. Have you apologized to the victims? Would you like to do so now?
Well-
They're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
I'm sorry for everything that you have all gone through. It's terrible. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invest so much and are going to continue doing industry-leading efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
You know, why, Mr. Zuckerberg, why should your company not be sued for this? Why is it that you can claim, you hide behind a liability shield, you can't be held accountable? Shouldn't you be held accountable personally? Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I think I've already answered this. I mean, these
Well,
are
try
serious
this again.
issues.
Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I view my job and the job of our company as building the best tools that we can to keep our community safe.
Well, you're failing at
and
that.
Well, Senator, we're doing an industry-leading effort. We build AI tools
nonsense. Your product is killing people. Will you personally commit to compensating the victims? You're a billionaire. Will you commit to compensating the victims? Will you set up a compensation fund
Senator,
with your
I
money?
think these are
With your money.
complicated- Senator, these are complicated
Yes, no,
issues.
that's not a complicated question, though. That's a
Senator,
yes or no.
this is-
Will you set up a victims' compensation fund with your money, the money you made on these families sitting behind you? Yes or no?
Senator, I don't think that's my job is to
Sounds
make
like
sure
a
we
no.
build good tools. My
Sounds
job
like a
is
no.
to make sure that
Your job is to be responsible for what your company has done. You've made billions of dollars on the people sitting behind them. Are you here? You've done nothing to help them. You've done nothing to compensate them. You've done nothing to put it right. You could do so here today, and you should. You should, Mr. Zuckerberg.
Should. Okay? Should have done it. Didn't. Zuckerberg didn't do anything but apologize to the people, and he refused to do anything to help those families and those girls that suffered because of what he and his company have done. It's not just Facebook, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just Facebook. It's Instagram too. When that other corporation put those companies together, it made Zuckerberg completely responsible for the content and completely responsible for what they've done. Yet Zuckerberg refuses still to take responsibility. I find that abhorrent. I find that to be very abhorrent. Okay? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so. Zuckerberg is going to be back in front of the Senate sometime this year. And I'm hoping and praying that he will actually get through with what he's been doing and break down and take care of the people that he's responsible to. Unreal. Now, Catherine put up a post here on the chat. I want to address this. She says, Catherine said that she got an email 6 days ago from Ruthie B. I also received 2 other emails from her during this past week. I want to assure Ruthie and Catherine and everybody else, I'm doing my best to try and figure out why Ruthie B got slammed by YouTube or whatever had happened, to find out why she got blocked off the chat. And I hope to bring her back very shortly. Ruthie B, hang in there. If you're watching this program, listening to it, hang in there. I'm working on it. Catherine, I'm working on it. Everybody. I want everybody to be able to be here that wants to be here, that's willing to abide by our rules and regulations on this program. But again, I'm working on this, okay? I'm totally working on this. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you all here. There's a couple other things I want to talk about. Let's go to the earthquake map here. Let me take down my smiling face here. I want to go over here to Ethiopia. This is a big deal right now. YouTube is downgraded, or not YouTube, I'm sorry. I get YouTube on the brain sometimes. I have real problems with YouTube as well. Now, what do we have here? We have a 6.0 plus earthquake. Okay? It came out as a 6.0. It was downgraded. It was downgraded very heavily. Now, I don't agree with the downgrade. Okay? They downgraded this to 5.8. This came out as a 6.0, and it should remain at least as 6.0, but I believe it's a 6.4. I believe this earthquake is a 6.4 over here in Ethiopia. Why is that important? Why do you think that's important? Let's zoom in here on this fault line. Okay? Want to zoom in here and show you what's going on here. Oh, why are they doing this to me? Hold on, folks. I think USGS has done it to me again. I thought we'd finally figured out a way to get around them and their screwballiness, and they've done it to us again. I'll bring up this map real quickly again right here. Okay, right here in Ethiopia. Why is this important? Look at where this earthquake is. See this great big huge fault line here? Coming off the Gulf of Oman? Guess what? This, folks, is an area of the earth here in Africa that is going to split. We've had increasing numbers of earthquakes in this area. We've had increasing numbers and the strength of these earthquakes has also increased. The seismicity, the number of earthquakes, and the strength of these earthquakes has increased. This is the largest earthquake that has hit here. Okay? This is where the continent of Africa is going to split right here in Ethiopia. Okay? This is at least a 6.4 earthquake. This is also very shallow. 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep, for those of you that don't work with metrics. This is a very shallow earthquake. Again, this ridge here, this total ridge here, it's going to give way. Okay? At some point in time, there's going to be a large enough earthquake where this is going to split in half. Okay? This is just a 6. Imagine this being a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. Just like we had over here. I want to enlarge this here, right here in the Syria-Turkey border region. Okay? February 3rd, 2023. Right in this area right here. In the Syria-Turkey border region, we had a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. Over 5,000 people killed, over 5,000 people injured. That earthquake created a 14-mile long fissure, deep enough to house an 8-story building. Deep enough for an 8-story building to be in it. Okay? What do you think is going to happen down here in Ethiopia? It's going to happen here as well. It's going to happen here along this ridge here. It's probably going to split all the way down to here. Tanzania. Look at where that earthquake fault goes. That is a huge rift zone here. This area is a huge rift zone. All the way through Kenya, all the way down here near Tanzania, through Tanzania here. It could also go all the way down here, Mozambique. That's as far as the fault line goes. Now, considering what we know here, this rift zone has had 4.0s. Actually, it started off with 3.0s, 3.5s, 4.0s, 4.3, 4.4, 4.5, 4.8, 4.9. Yes, 4.9. I believe those 4.9s were actually large 5.0 plus earthquakes. Yet, we've also had 5.0 earthquakes here as well. Now we've had our first 6.0, and like I said, I believe it was an actual 6.4. I believe we're going to continue to see very strong earthquakes here that could go up into the major range. Anything over 7.0 is a major earthquake. This is a 6.0 very strong earthquake. 6.0, 6.9 are considered to be very strong quakes. We've had our first 6.0 today. I believe it's going to continue. This earthquake here happened. It happened. I was wondering when we would get a large earthquake here, such as a 6 or even a 7. Now we have a 6 here. I think we all need to get prepared to have a much larger earthquake. Now this area is very, shall I say, unpopulated area. There are nomads that live in this area. Traveling populations. I don't think there's any very permanent populations anywhere in this area. Okay? If it was densely populated, we would have to evacuate this area. But that has not happened. At the most, we maybe have had 3 or 4 people that have felt these quakes because there's literally nobody around to feel it. Vegan is asking in the chat, are you capable enough to managing emergencies? Yes, I am. I have managed emergencies in the past. I've been involved in disaster drills throughout this country. 39 states throughout this country. I've also been managing disasters before that and after that. I very much can manage earthquakes and any other emergency. Now, I will get back to answering that question again in a few minutes. But we're talking about this earthquake in Ethiopia. Okay, this is very much on my mind. It should be on everybody's mind. Okay? We've not had an earthquake like this in a very long time. Here in Africa, it's never happened. At least in all the years that I've been alive. I haven't seen it. Excuse me. I'm hoping that she comes back on the air here. Hey, Brokefish N, good to see you. Does anybody have any questions about this rift zone in Africa? Does anybody have any questions about it? Yes, Catherine, that is a cool ringtone. I have other ringtones as well. Anyway, now we talked about that, I'm going to go over here to the Aegean Sea here. Okay? Look here. USBS is not showing any earthquakes here. What a joke. What a joke. There are about 70 earthquakes here in the Aegean Sea. around Santorini and Amorgos. Okay? Santorini and Amorgos and all the rest of these islands out here between Turkey and Greece belong to Turkey. They're called the Dokanese Islands. USGS is not showing any earthquakes. There are over 70 earthquakes here today. Over 70 earthquakes. It's still ongoing. Still ongoing. As I explained earlier this week, I'm going to briefly take down this map and we're going to go back to it in a few minutes. As I have explained to you earlier this week, what I believe is happening is that that area has 2 earthquake faults going through it. However, I believe that each and every one of these islands here was spawned by volcanoes, by volcanic eruptions. And that is exactly what is going on today. That is exactly what's going on today. This is the real picture of the number of earthquakes, and it's even more than this. It shows 50 plus earthquakes on the EMSC map here. This map is available through my earthquakes app. Okay? 50 plus earthquakes. Yet USGS is not showing any. Why not? This is a major event. What is happening here? As I've explained before, this area was populated by volcanoes. All these islands are volcanic in origin. What I believe is happening is there is magma down beneath the surface forcing its way through bedrock. Forcing its way through bedrock. Why bedrock? These islands are volcanic. Okay? But, what's important to know? Nothing's been happening here in the Aegean Sea with these islands in the many, many years, hundreds of years. Okay? Now, we have magma trying to reinforce the volcano. We have magma that's coming into that volcano again, recharging the volcano. It's headed there. Okay? Several weeks ago, it appeared that the islands, the Aegean Sea was going down. The water level around the islands was going down. What they found out, after exploring with the USGS and other agencies, is that they're through the satellite system, they found out that the islands are not sinking, the water level is not going down, but the land rise is increasing. Land rise. How is that possible? Magma going back into the volcanoes, recharging the volcanoes, causing land rise. Scientists checked with the GPS locators on the islands, showing land rise. Magma going into the volcanoes again, forcing the land rise up. That's what's going on. Now, USGS may not be showing this for a very good reason. They don't want to alarm people again. I'm going to say again. Okay? This is one more occasion where the United States Geological Survey doesn't want anybody to know what's going on. They have no desire to let anybody know what's going on. Okay? Why? Because, folks, if people knew what was going on, they would evacuate those areas and they would not come back. It's all politics. It's all politics. These agencies are told by politicians not to talk to anybody and tell them anything that's really going on. That way, there's not going to be a mass migration away from these areas. That's what's happening. 60% of the population over on Santorini has evacuated. 40% of the people are still there. The National Guard of Greece has populated Santorini and Amorgos. just in case something happens, that they might provide medical attention to help people get the medical attention they need to survive, and also to be able to put them on ferries away from the island. That's what's happening. But again, the biggest agency in the world, the preeminent seismic agency in the world, USGS, doesn't want anybody to know what's going on. So they don't publish it. You have to go to other sources for information. And that's exactly what most of us do. We go to other sources to get information. Okay? It's unreal. It's unreal. And it's sad. It's very sad. One day, the preeminent seismic agency of the world is going to pay for it. And unfortunately, it's going to pay for it in a big way. I hate saying that. I hate saying that. I'm hoping President Trump gets in here. I'm hoping President Trump gets in here before very much longer to stop what's going on and let the public know exactly what's happening and where it's happening. Because this is very troubling. Let's go back to the USGS map now. Okay? Right here in the agency right here, we're having all these earthquakes. 70 plus earthquakes here. Yet USGS doesn't say a word about it. Not one word. USGS is saying there's 196 earthquakes worldwide right now. Why are they not showing any earthquakes here in the Middle East? Why not? There's one 4.8 over here in southern Iran. They're not even showing that. There's several earthquakes over here in Afghanistan. They're not showing those. Several earthquakes over here in, excuse me, let me reorient this map here. Right over here, Afghanistan, they're not showing anything. Tajikistan, they're not showing anything. They're not showing any earthquakes here in India or over here in the Himalaya Mountains. They're showing one earthquake up here. USGS is calling this Afghanistan, 18 kilometers west of Ashkasham, Afghanistan. This is a 4.0 earthquake. But they're not showing any of the others. There's about 4 earthquakes over here in Afghanistan and 2 more in Tajikistan and multiple earthquakes here in the Himalaya Mountains. And over here in northeast India as well. This area right here, Burma, it's now called Myanmar. Earthquakes there. Earthquakes here in Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. Why are they not showing those? Earthquakes over here in Indonesia. USGS is showing one earthquake over here in the western side of Java. This is a 5.1 earthquake. However, right just off the southern coast, southwestern coast of Sumatra here, Sumatra, Indonesia, there's another 4.8 here. Why are they not showing them? 4.8 earthquakes are dangerous, except for these are out in the water. The water, for the most part, is absorbing the shock waves of these quakes. So the populations of these areas are not feeling these quakes as they might be. But again, this one off of the southwest coast of Java here is a 5.1 earthquake. This is 56 kilometers deep. Still a very shallow earthquake. Why are they not showing these other earthquakes here? We'd like to know. Over here in the Banda Sea, we've had multiple earthquakes here in the Banda Sea. This is a 4.4. We've had two large 5.0, 5.2 earthquakes here in the last 24 hours. Large earthquakes. Why are they not telling anybody about them? Northern Indonesia, we've had multiple earthquakes up here. Why are they not talking about them? It's important. It's important. We go up here to Bello, Indonesia. This is a 4.6 moderate quake. This is a 4.6 here also, almost 200 kilometers north of Tobelo, out in the ocean here. Let's go up here to central Philippines. This is important. This is an aftershock, a 4.5 aftershock of a much larger earthquake here in central Philippines. This is a 5.3. Smaller 5.3 large earthquake here. Near Lorente, Philippines. Also 10 kilometers, 6.2 miles deep. Shallow earthquake. Right here. Yes, it was off the coast of the Philippines here. Nobody felt this earthquake. I don't think anybody felt this earthquake. However, it was still a shallow quake. And people might have felt it here, had it been any closer. Okay? It's unfortunate that USBS doesn't want to tell us exactly what's going on. These are not the only earthquakes here in the Philippines. This is an aftershock of that 5.3. Also 10 kilometers deep. Right here, there are over 8 earthquakes here in the Philippines. Some over here off the northeast coast of Mindanao, Philippines here. Unreal. Unreal. Let's go further north here. They're not showing anything over here near Luzon, Philippines. Nothing over here in Taiwan. There's one earthquake here in the Easy Islands here. This is a 4.8 earthquake here. 4.8 earthquake here. Also, guess what? 10 kilometers deep. 6.2 miles deep. Very shallow quake. Folks, this is one of the largest and deepest earthquake faults in the world right here. The Mariana Trench. North of Hokkaido up here in the Kuril Islands. The Kuril Islands belong to Russia. Mostly unoccupied. Here we have another 5.0 earthquake. This one is 35 kilometers deep. Just about 25 miles deep here. Okay? In the Kuril Islands. Again, these are mostly unoccupied islands, and this happened out in the water. Nobody felt this large earthquake here. Okay? Let's go over here into the land of Alaska. Last night while we were on the air, we had a very large earthquake here in Alaska. This is out in the Gulf of Alaska. 154 kilometers southwest of Akiak, Alaska. Guess what? The directions are wrong. This is southeast of Akiak, Alaska. It's in the Gulf of Alaska, away from any populations. This is in the Aleutian Island chain, as you can see here. A large, very large 5.8. Just to give you an idea how large this earthquake was. This is only 2 points less than the Ethiopia earthquake. 20 times less than the earthquake in Ethiopia. If this had been on land, there would have been major damage. Just so everybody knows, there was no tsunami as a result of this earthquake. There cannot be a tsunami with this size of earthquake. Why? Because tsunamis usually happen 99 times out of 100. Tsunamis usually happen with earthquakes over 6.5. Over 6.5 magnitude. And even then, down in the Caribbean Sea last weekend, on Saturday, we had an 8.0 earthquake there. And yet, there was no appreciable tsunami. At the most, a 1-inch rise in sea levels over in the Caribbean. Okay? That was an 8.0. An 8.0 earthquake. So we didn't see any tsunami there. We're not going to see any tsunami here. We did not see any tsunami here. Okay? Most of the earthquakes here in Alaska are down here in southeastern Alaska here. Okay? You can see where Anchorage is here. Look where these earthquakes are here. For example, this is a 1.7. Okay? Northeast of Cooper Landing, Alaska. Okay? Let's go further northwest here. Sterling, Alaska, 1.7 here. Now, I want to go up here to the north here. Northwest. Susitna, Alaska. Okay? This is a 2.1 earthquake. Let's go back down here. And this is important to understand. This is a minus 0.4 earthquake. Okay? They say this is above sea level. This earthquake may be above sea level this time. Why do I say that? This is only 0.8 of a... Actually, it's less than a half-mile deep. What do we have here? Just northwest of here we have Mount Redoubt Volcano. Mount Redoubt Volcano. This is in the mountainous region of Alaska here. So this may very well have been above sea level. Minus 0.4 microquake here. Mount Redoubt is recharging. Mount Redoubt is recharging. 3 years ago, Mount Redoubt erupted. Mount Redoubt is recharging right now. Okay? That's what's important to understand. We go back up here to Anchorage. Anchorage is not being threatened by any earthquakes and hasn't been for some time. But it could change. That could change. This earthquake up here near Susitna, a 2.1. We've had many earthquakes here in the past. Okay? Incredible. It really is. We go further north here. This is 64 kilometers northwest of Chase, Alaska. Fascinating. Fascinating. Let's go up here into Denali, Alaska. Okay? They say this is a 2.0 north of Petersville, Alaska. 67 kilometers supposedly north of Petersville, Alaska. This is in Denali National Park. This is in Denali National Park. Why didn't they just say it was in Denali National Park? Southeast of Mount McKinley. Why didn't they say it? Inquiring minds want to know. Okay, that's a 2.0 minor earthquake. 2.0 minor earthquake. Over here to the west here is a 1.5. Why did they label this earthquake here, this 1.5 tremor, as being 51 kilometers east-southeast of Denali? It's not east-southeast of Denali at all. It's in Denali National Park. It's in Denali National Park. It's not southeast of anywhere. Again, I want to tell you this. I want to emphasize this. USGS doesn't want to tell us exactly what's going on or where these earthquakes are, including this earthquake here. Supposedly a 2.0, 67 kilometers north of Petersville. I call BS. They need to label this as in Denali National Park and stop horsing around. We talked about this before. This earthquake just southeast of there. They say this is 65 kilometers north of Petersville, Alaska. It's right next to the other one. Why don't they just call them Denali, Alaska, and stop horsing around? Because that's exactly what's going on. Let's go over here to the east. We just had a brand new earthquake here. This is a 1.5 earthquake here, east of Cantwell, Alaska. We go to the north. This just changed over to yellow. This earthquake just also happened here within the last hour. Another 1.5 earthquake here near Harding Birch Lakes, Alaska. Harding Birch Lakes, Alaska. Okay, up here. Now we've had one other earthquake right here. This is Living Good, Alaska. Livengod, Alaska. Living Good, Alaska. This is a 1.0 tremor. Let's go north here. Earlier today, I had the hardest time trying to pull this quake up. They would not let me pull it up. USBS would not let me pull this up. Folks, this is a 2.0. This is a 2.0 minor earthquake. This is at the Arctic Circle here. It's at the Arctic Circle, apparently 73 kilometers north of the Arctic Village. This is in the Arctic Circle here. We don't normally get earthquakes here in the Arctic Circle very often. We're watching this. We're watching it. If we get a 5.0 anywhere north of there, near the Beaufort Sea here, we're going to really watch it, because I fear there's going to be a 5.0 earthquake here any day. So watching this very closely. Go out here to the west, okay? This is concerning me. This is a 2.5 earthquake here. They say this is north-northeast of Deering, Alaska. D-E-R-I-N-G, Alaska. Okay? It's out here in the harbor area of this part of Alaska here. A 2.5 earthquake here. This is the first time I've seen any earthquakes out here in the water off of mainland Alaska. First time. Okay? That's what's going on in Alaska. Now, let's go south here. Okay? Right here. This is over here in southeastern Alaska, Yakutek, Alaska. This is a 2.1. Right next to it is a 1.7. Now, this 5.8 that happened here, that may follow the Aleutian Island Fault up here north through the Gulf of Alaska. It may do that. And if so, it may come back down here over towards Canada. It may come down here towards Canada. This is Queen Charlotte, Alaska right here. Queen Charlotte, Canada, British Columbia. Queen Charlotte, British Columbia here. They often call this Haida Gwaii. They renamed it basically Haida Gwaii. If that 5.8 earthquake comes down here, makes a turn in the top of the Gulf of Alaska, the north side of the Gulf of Alaska, and it starts coming down here to the south, we may see larger earthquakes over here. Why is that possible? What do we have here? The Cascadia subduction zone. If that 5.8 moves down here, we may see even larger earthquakes here in the Cascadia subduction zone to the north. I'm just warning everybody. That might happen. Today over here in the Strait of Juan de Fuca, right here, okay? They say this is a 3.7 small earthquake, 16 kilometers south-southeast of Victoria, Canada. It's right here in the water. It's right here in the water of the Gulf of the, not the Gulf, but the Strait of Juan de Fuca here. Okay? Why is that important? Because, folks, we are getting stronger and stronger earthquakes here in this region, the Cascadia subduction zone region. Rebecca the Explorer says, isn't Mount McKinley now Mount McKinley? Yes, it is. Back when Obama was in power, when Obama was president, he renamed it Mount Denali. He was trying to transform America, to take away our history. Obama was trying to take away our history by taking the name of a very famous president off of the national park. It's back. President Trump is trying to transform America back to the way it was. The National Park Service in Washington, D.C. is removing the graffiti and the stickers from Palestine and Antifa that were posted last year during the Biden administration, when Antifa and Palestine was protesting in Washington, D.C., defacing our monuments, doing everything they could to hurt our country. President Trump is rectifying it. President Trump is rectifying it. I believe President Trump is doing a great job. Now, I want to go over here to Idaho. This is central Idaho. Stanley, Idaho. We've had a lot of earthquakes here. A lot. This is a 2.4 minor earthquake. We've had upwards of a 6.5 earthquake here a couple of years ago. Notice where this fault line is. See this fault line here? That's why this earthquake happened. This is the eastern side of the Yellowstone magma chamber. Over here in Challis, Idaho here. This is where the Yellowstone magma chamber starts on the west. The Yellowstone magma chamber goes up here to the Canadian border, and it goes all the way down here to northern Utah, just north of Utah Lake. Just north of, actually, I shouldn't say Utah Lake, but the Great Salt Lake here. Okay? Yellowstone magma chamber is 11 Grand Canyons in size. Okay? Okay? Does anybody have any questions about anything here? Earthquakes continue happening here in California. Let's go over here to the San Francisco Bay here. Okay? Yesterday we told you that earthquakes are happening here near San Francisco Bay on the Hayward Fault. This is on the Hayward Fault here. It's a 2.4 earthquake. Further south here, this is a 2.5 in Pleasant Hill. Yesterday we had a 3.6, I believe it was, here in Pleasant Hill, California, also on the Hayward Fault. Actually, right between the Hayward Fault and the Calaveras Fault. We have another earthquake here in near Clayton, California. This is a 1.6 tremor. Also, this earthquake is on the Calaveras Fault. Calaveras Fault. You see a large swarm of earthquakes up here? This is the geysers area. The geysers. This is a geothermal area, guys. This is a geothermal area. Here we have dug in or trenched into, drilled into the Clear Lake volcano. To harvest steam from the Clear Lake volcano here, to power turbines here in the geysers facility. To power turbines to generate electricity here in the geysers facility. Normally we have 25 to 30 earthquakes here every day. And that's what we're seeing here today. Okay? This earthquake here is a 1.1 tremor. This earthquake to the north, also in red here, just happened. This is a 0.8 microquake here. There's a huge swarm of earthquakes here. Okay? There's that 0.8 here and another 0.2 microquake here. Folks, this is a huge area. Huge, huge area. Okay? That's normal. That's normal. The seismic energy comes off the Pacific Ocean. It finds those drill points. Doesn't matter whether they drill into the upper magma chambers of the Clear Lake volcano or any other volcano. The seismic energy finds those drill points and fractures the rock inside the drill points, causing earth movement. That's why we get those earthquakes here. Okay? Then we come further south here. Okay? We have an earthquake right here. This is Aveyah, California. Aveyah, California. Folks, this is off east of the San Andreas Fault. There's another fault line here, but it's a lesser fault line. Okay? But this is a 4.3 earthquake here. A moderate 4.3. It's east of the San Andreas. Okay? Further over here, let's first go over here to the San Andreas. This is San Ardo, California here. A 0.5 microquake. Southwest of there, Paso Robles, California. They say this is 4 kilometers south of Paso Robles. For all intents and purposes, this is in Paso Robles. 2 miles south of Paso Robles, California. This is a 2.0 minor earthquake. Okay? More earthquakes here. Okay? Let's go up here to the Garlock. Okay? Cyril's Valley here. The Garlock Fault comes off the San Andreas down here near Fraser Park. The Garlock Fault goes northeastbound up here to Ridgecrest and Cyril's Valley. This area is the Mojave Desert. This is a 2.0 earthquake here in Cyril's Valley. Okay? We go north. This is a 1.0 in Kozo Junction. What's Kozo Junction? Anybody have an idea where Kozo Junction is? What Kozo Junction is? It's a volcano. That's a volcano. Kozo Volcano. It's a huge volcanic field. There's also a geothermal facility there. Why? What do you think they're doing here at Kozo Volcanic Field? They're harvesting steam from the Kozo volcano to power turbines here in this area. There are about 43 turbines here in the Kozo Volcanic Field, generating electricity for the state of California right here. Okay? North of there, Olancha, California. If you remember when the Ridgecrest earthquake hit, we had 6.0 earthquakes happening here in Olancha, California. 70 miles northwest of Ridgecrest, California. Today we have a 1.4 tremor here. We have a 1.6 tremor here. And we have a 1.7 tremor here. Olancha, California. We go out here further northeast here. Furnace Creek, California. Folks, this is just about as bad as Coastal Volcanic Field. Yes, this is a volcanic field as well. There's a reason they call it Furnace Creek. It's a huge volcanic field. They don't have any thermal facilities here, but it's very hot. They have Furnace Creek here. It's very warm, powered by underground hot springs from the volcano. Furnace Creek, California has a 1.1 tremor. We see these tremors happening all the time here in Furnace Creek. We'll go further north here. Silver Peak, Nevada. What do we know about Silver Peak, Nevada? Okay, this just southeast of where we had a 6.5 earthquake here recently. Okay, that's a 1.8 tremor here. There's a 1.6 tremor here, and north of there, right here. This is a 1.1 tremor here. Okay, that's what's happening here. So let's get out of the Mojave Desert. Let's come down here into Southern California. Over here, Santa Paula, California, 1.5 tremor. Interesting. Interesting. Right here, off the coast of Seal Beach. As we told you earlier here in the Los Angeles area, we have earthquakes out here off the coast. Okay? There are fault lines out here. There are fault lines out here in the water. Okay? This is a 1.8 tremor here. This is a 1.4 here. This is 3 kilometers, a mile and a half southwest of Newport Beach. Closer in here. This is a 1.7 tremor here, and they say it's 2.5 miles southeast of Home Gardens, California. Interesting enough. We have earthquakes here. Why? Look where it's at. Look where this earthquake is at. It's on the Elsinore Fault here. This earthquake is on the Elsinore Fault. It's no wonder we're having earthquakes here. Let's go out here to the northeast. Right here. Loma Linda, California. 1.3 tremor here. Loma Linda, California. What's important about that? 1.3 tremor here in Loma Linda. That's a home. Loma Linda is home to the world-renowned Loma Linda Medical Center. World-renowned Loma Linda Medical Center. And this just happens to be 1 mile east-southeast of there. Okay? Guess what? That's also on the San Jacinto Fault. What makes that important? Because it's just south of the San Andreas. Right here. This is 2 miles northeast of San Bernardino. The San Andreas Fault. A 1.1 tremor here. To the south here. This is the Anza Gap. The Anza Gap. Northeast San Diego County. It's all part of the Anza Borrego Desert State Park in northeast San Diego County. Okay? Also, something you need to know. This is on the San Jacinto Fault. San Jacinto Fault. Right here. This is the 1.0 earthquake here. Tremor. San Jacinto Fault. Here's 0.8. Also part of the Anza Borrego Desert State Park, northeast San Diego County. Now let's go over here to the Salton Sea. Now we're talking about out here in the Imperial County, east of San Diego. This is 1.5 tremor here. 1.5 tremor. Okay? This is in the foothills on the east side of the Chocolate Mountains. Notice the USPS is not showing you any other earthquakes here in the Imperial Valley. There's about 300 earthquakes here in the Imperial Valley every day. And yet the USGS is not showing you but one. That's sad. Over here further to the southwest, back here in San Diego County, East San Diego County, we have Julian, California. Julian, California is a great place. I've been there many, many times. Julian is a great place. Why? Because they have apples all year long. All year long. No, they're not on the trees. They harvest the apples in September, October time period off the trees. So you can go over here to the restaurants in Julian, California. Just a small cowboy type town. Small cowboy type town. They have bed and breakfast, small hotels there, trinket shops there, and great restaurants where you can have lunch or dinner and have hot apple pie and hot apple cider literally all year long if you want it. Especially during the cold years like now. Right here in Julian, I believe they have snow. They just got through, San Diego County just got through having huge rainstorm with land and mudslides in Southern California, including LA. Here in Julian, hot apple pie and ice and snow on the ground. I'd highly recommend a trip here to Julian, California when you can. A great place. A really great place. Okay? Let's go over here to southern or southwestern Texas. Oil fields, guys. This present map of the USGS here is not going to show you oil fields. And I have a feeling that that's why they took it down. Too much information. See where these earthquakes are? These are oil fields. This is southeast of Midland. 1.7 tremor here, Garden City, west of Garden City, Texas. Okay? North of there. This is Stanton, Texas. We had a 5.0 earthquake here 6 months ago. 5.0 large earthquake here 6 months ago. Here we have a 1.0 tremor. Fascinating, isn't it? We go further north to the northwest. Ackerley, Texas. We had a 5.0 earthquake here. This is a 1.4 tremor here. Right next to it, another 1.2 in Los Ibanez, Texas. Los Ibanez, Y-B-A-N-E-Z, Texas. Fascinating, huh? Let's go further down here to the southwest. Toyah, Texas, a 1.8 tremor here. This is a 1.9, 2.0 here, just outside of Toyah, Texas here. Okay, however, there's more earthquakes down here in southern Texas here. Over here, this is Charlotte, Texas. About 20 kilometers southwest of Charlotte, Texas. This is a 2.6 earthquake. 2.6 minor earthquake, and this is oil fields. This whole area is oil fields, guys. Right here, this is Pleasanton, Texas, 1.7. However, look at this small cache of earthquakes here. This is at 1.4. This is a 1.8, Falls City, Texas. Falls City, Texas, 1.8. This is a 2.4. This is a 2.4. It's the largest earthquake of the day in Falls City, Texas. I believe all these others are all aftershocks. Aftershocks. This is a 1.8 as well. These are oil fields here in this area. Oil fields here in this area. Okay, that's why these earthquakes happen. Now we don't show any other earthquakes here on the East Coast or anywhere along the New Madrid Fault. That does not mean they're not happening. It just means that the USGS is not going to show them to us. A couple other earthquakes I want to point out before we get off here. Montesinos, Mexico. Okay, this is important. Look where this earthquake is. Can you see San Andreas Fault? The San Andreas Fault comes out of Northern California, goes all the way through California, all the way through northern Mexico, down here through the Gulf of California. Then it follows the coastline of southern Mexico all the way down here where this earthquake is. This is a 4.8 earthquake. A 4.8 earthquake. This happened at approximately 3:26 this afternoon, but they're not showing all the earthquakes here. There's been a 4.5 here. There's been a 4.6. There's been 3.5s, 3.2s, 3.7s, 3.8s all over this area. We have about 25 earthquakes here in southern Mexico, and they're only reporting this 4.8. Sad state of affairs. More earthquakes down here in central America. Over here, and again, this is important. This is an aftershock. This is an aftershock of last Sunday's 8.0 major quake. This is over here on the Cayman Ridge, the exact same location where the 8.0 happened here Sunday. This is a 4.7 earthquake here on the Cayman Ridge. Again, the Cayman Ridge comes out of down here in Guatemala and goes out here into the Caribbean, up here, okay, going just south of the Cayman Ridge, or south of the Cayman Islands, north of Jamaica, skirting the southern coast of southern Cuba, goes north of Haiti, north of the Dominican Republic, and north of Puerto Rico. These earthquakes here north of Puerto Rico, the Cayman Ridge dropped these earthquakes here. This is a 3.5. 82 kilometers north of Tierras Nuevas, Poniente, Puerto Rico. Okay? 82 kilometers north of Puerto Rico here. Okay? This earthquake right here. This is a 3.6. Also came off of the Cayman Ridge. This is over in the U.S. Virgin Island area. 92 kilometers north of St. Cruz Bay, U.S. Virgin Islands. Two other earthquakes here in the area here. Okay, this is just barely off the coast of northwestern Puerto Rico. 3.2 earthquake here. 3.2 earthquake here. Okay, 24 kilometers north of San Antonio, Puerto Rico. Okay. There is an earthquake fault just north of Puerto Rico there. That's why that happened. Over here in southeastern Puerto Rico here. Vasquez, Puerto Rico. This is a 2.3 earthquake here. 2.3 earthquake. Remember, all these islands here are volcanic. They're all volcanic. Okay? We've talked about earthquakes over here in southwestern Puerto Rico before. Those have nothing to do with the volcano, though. Absolutely nothing to do with the volcano. The earthquakes that were here, even as of last week, are aftershocks of an 8.0 and an 8.4 earthquake that happened here in 2019, 5 years ago. December 26 and December 28, 5 years ago. Okay? Any questions about anything we said here? I want to make sure everybody understands what we're doing here. 24 earthquakes in South America as well. USGS not showing them. Sad day. Sad day. It's sad because they don't want to tell us the truth again. Very sad. I have no empathy for USGS. When it gets taken down by the Trump administration, they're going to realize what they did wrong. At least I hope they will. I really hope they do. Again, I want to say happy Valentine's Day to everybody here on our channel. We love and respect each and every one of you. We love you very much. Now, Ann Pickering says, who are helping us help us to survive a disaster. I hope so. I hope so. Let me give you some information really quick before we leave the channel tonight. Okay? I want to give you some help on preparing for a disaster. Preparing for a disaster. What am I talking about tonight? The first thing I want to talk about is how to budget for a disaster. We have talked about in the past planning for a disaster, writing an emergency preparedness plan. Tonight we talked about preparedness kits before. What goes into a preparedness kit, the things you need to have for whatever disaster or emergency you're going to face. All those videos are here on YouTube. All the videos we've ever done are here on YouTube, except prior to 2 years ago. That's because 2 years ago, YouTube took me down for a couple weeks. The videos prior to that, we had over 25,000, close to 26,000 subscribers on our last channel. Because I talked about COVID, because I talked about the jab, YouTube took me down. And now, 2 years later, we're finding out that everything that we talked about was true. Was true. The Biden administration told the FBI to go over to social media and reprimand anybody that wasn't talking the present talk from the administration. Slapped us upside the head. Took our channel down. Guess what? Everything we've always said and everything we will say is the truth. I don't script on evidence. I don't put out anything that I can't back up. But so far during the past 2 years, all of our videos that talk about preparedness, especially on Fridays, Preparedness Fridays, you need to take a look at. But tonight I want to talk about how to budget for a disaster. And I know that is a very untasteful thing. Nobody wants to talk about budgeting anything, which is sad. But I want to share with you those things that people ask me about, ask questions about. I've even had people here in the chat, and I've even gotten emails from some of you that said, I can't afford to do any kind of emergency preparedness. I'm too broke. Well, folks, I am on a fixed income. I personally am on a fixed income. Well, guess what? Guess what? I have been preparing for disasters for quite some time. Even people on a fixed income can put things away to help themselves to prepare for a disaster or any kind of emergency. Okay? Here's a solution for those of you that are on a fixed income or say you can't afford to prepare for emergency situations. Financial stress is no secret for me. Financial stress is no secret to me. At first, I couldn't believe how much money was spent on a weekly and then even monthly basis on things that I didn't really need to spend money on. True. All of the expenses are quite important and sometimes necessary. But this can make preparing food storage and emergency gear rather difficult. With all the money that I used to spend getting started with preparedness, it was a daunting task. It was a daunting task. But then, my wife and I realized something hadn't been done. Budgeting. Now we are on a pretty tight budget. Budgeting is an amazing skill. It can help each one of us make the best of our paychecks. And budgeting is one of those skills that will make your life better today and even tomorrow. Today and tomorrow. Don Patoga said here in the chat, and it's very true. Y'all prepare before the disaster happens, not when it begins. Not when it begins. Now, can we help you with preparing though? I believe we can. I can tell you firsthand, budgeting has made a big difference in my own life. When you used with goal setting, attitude in mind, these tools can help you to become prepared financially for disaster and can help you prepare as well and physically as well. It can help you financially, it can help you physically, and it can help you personally with preparing. Budgeting for preparedness. Now, I have heard the word budget my entire life. My parents talked about budgeting since I was a kid. Now, when I was asking my parents for special things for my life, my parents often told me that we didn't have the money for it. It wasn't in the budget. That was pretty hard for a young person. I realized after a short while, my parents told me, well, we need to bring more money into this family. Even as a child, I went out on my front lawn, curbside, selling lemonade. And now, guess what? During the Biden administration, we had police departments that were getting called with complaints of children selling lemonade. Unreal. Yet this is one of the ways I made money to get some of the things I needed, including a bicycle and even clothing and G.I. Joes when I needed it or wanted it as I was growing up. I learned how to make money and I learned how to prepare and how to budget. I've heard budgeting my entire life, and sometimes it gets really old and annoying. And some of you may also be annoyed by this as well. But knowing exactly how much money you have and how much money you can spend is an incredible benefit of budgeting. If you start looking at your budget, find out about the bills you have to pay, and then the money that's left over, for like going out or buying a hamburger or even buying anything to make your life easier. Think about it. Another benefit of budgeting is usually involves planning for savings. Planning for savings. How much money you're putting away in savings? How much money are you planning for? How much money are you planning for? Having a good amount of money in savings provides a person with a healthy fallback if you need it. A healthy fallback if you need it. My emergency plans including personal financial disasters. Every time Carol and I get any money, we put so much money of that aside in our preparedness kit so that when something happens and the money dries up, that we have an emergency fund to fall back on. Okay? That's what we do. That's what we do. That's what I'm asking each one of you. Find out how much money you have to pay your bills. Even if you can put away a few cents or $1 or $2 a week or even $1 or $2 a month, put it away. Put it away. That way you have something healthy to fall back on. Now, my emergency plans also include financial disasters. Like if my wife and I lose our money. My wife is not presently working. We are relying on the money we make here on this channel and relying on the money we get from our Social Security or my Social Security, not hers. She doesn't get it yet. We rely on my money here. And yes, you guys help me to pay the bills, to be able to provide internet capabilities for bandwidth. And I greatly appreciate that. Okay? You guys help me, and I appreciate that greatly. You give us super chats here. You also go over to our PayPal and give us money through PayPal. You send checks or money through the mail, which we greatly appreciate. By the way, our post office box is 104 North Green Street, box 105, Morganton, Morganton, North Carolina. Zip code here is 28655. You might say sending money's not safe. It is. Write us a letter. Tell us about what you're preparing for. Tell us about what you've been doing to prepare and what things you've done to help you be in a more or better situation in case of an emergency. We'd love to hear it from you. Some of you have done that. We appreciate it. Send us a letter. When you do, slip a little bit of money or a check inside the letter. That way it's not visible from the outside. You do the same with a card. Several of you have sent us cards recently. We greatly appreciate it. The last one we got was from John and Laura from Oregon. Okay? They even sent us American Express card that we can use for emergencies. And we do that. Rebecca the Explorer just put up our PayPal location here. One of them. We have two PayPals here. One, Emergency Management Associates 591. Other one is paypal.me/rltnspd@hotmail.com. Okay? You send us that. We'd appreciate it. We also have a Venmo location she put up here. Thanks, Rebecca. We appreciate it. We really do. You can help us here. We'd appreciate it greatly. Now, having a good amount of money in savings is just another one of your preps. Having money in your savings is just another prep. And we need to do that. Call it your rainy day fund if you want to. Call it your rainy day fund. But being financially prepared for anything is incredibly smart. Being financially prepared for anything is incredibly smart. When you budget for preparedness or preparedness gear, don't build your budget around it. Do not build your budget around preparedness gear. Some people do, and they go too overboard. They forget about their other bills, and they get behind in their bills. You don't want to do that. Pay your bills. Put your money away for your bills. Pay those bills. And if you have anything over, put it away so you can buy preparedness gear as well. Your budget should be sorted out to the most important things to the least important. From the most important to the least important. That means preparedness may come before entertainment. Preparedness may come before entertainment. But rent, groceries, insurance payments should all come first. Electricity, utilities, water should come first. Also, approve all budget items with your family. Sit down as a family. Sit down as a family, brothers and sisters. Your family is the most important part of your life, or should be. Your family should be the most important part of your life. Sit down with your family and go over all things that your family members need. Finances can be one of the main stressors in a relationship, so avoid any issues by discussing budgets with your significant other and your family. Now, as a first tool, budgeting will save you money. It will save you financial woes in the future. And though it can be very tedious, it definitely pays off in the end. The second tool I want to talk about, like budgeting, is something that I've told you to do from a young age. Set goals. Set goals for preparedness. Set goals for your family. Goals represent dreams. Goals represent hope and intentions. Goal setting can be a lot harder than just putting together a list of your dreams, though. Goal setting can be a lot harder than just putting together a list of your dreams. Goal setting involves thinking of a goal, then determining how you want to accomplish that goal. For this reason, every goal should be achievable. Do not make a goal that's unachievable. Each goal can be achievable over a period of time. Heidi Petrick just gave us a $10 super chat. Heidi, thank you so much. God bless you, Heidi. We appreciate it so much. Thank you. Goal setting involves thinking of a goal, determining how you're going to accomplish this goal, and for every reason. For this reason, every goal should be achievable. Heidi Petrick just went forth and gifted 5 emergency management memberships here. Thank you so much, Heidi. And those people that just got memberships could thank Heidi for your memberships. 1-month membership went to DeWanda Daniel, Michael Hyde, Lori Van Hoosier, Sherry Ann, and Karen Burhow. Please thank Heidi Petrick for your memberships. That's wonderful. Lena Vilcon says her family's starting to listen. That's awesome. That's awesome. I hope they are. Now, having the skill of goal setting and achieving those goals will not only help you when preparing for a disaster, but it can also help you during a disaster. Creating a goal and then achieving that goal boosts self-confidence. And then it provides a great feeling of accomplishment, which is essential to the mindset of survival. This is essential in a mindset of survival. You need to have a positive attitude. Yes, you need to have self-confidence. Those of you may have seen a movie that I have talked about on this channel a few weeks back called Homestead by Angel Studios. If you have not yet seen that movie, when it comes out in your theaters near you, please go see it. That movie is based around preparedness. And the families that had done preparedness before realized how thankful they were to have that to fall back on when there was a nuclear bomb off the coast of Southern California, off the coast of Los Angeles. They had something to fall back on. Setting a goal boosts your self-confidence and boosts feelings of accomplishment, which is essential to the mindset of survival. If during a disaster, a person sets daily goals and then accomplishes them, each person in that family will see mental and emotional stability, and you'll be much higher than someone who doesn't. You have a greater mindset, a greater ability to feel accomplished, and a greater feeling of good. Goals also provide a sense of purpose. If you have a goal and you have a purpose of getting through something, in college, for example, I'll go back a while. In college, having the goal to graduate and get a decent job can get a person through some of the worst classes with good grades. Yes, I had classes that I hated, but I got decent grades. On a similar note, having the goal to tell your family that you love them. Having the goal to tell your family that you love them every day. Folks, my wife knows how many times I tell her every day how much I love her. And I do. It boosts her self-confidence as well. I tell her how pretty I think she is. And I talk about the wonderful things she's done for me, our dogs and our kids. She's a greater person for that as well. Okay? Tell your family and members of your family that you love them. And being able to help them through a disaster can help you to survive through any emergency situation. Tell your family you love them today. If you haven't done that before in a while, tell each member of your family how much you love them today. And then keep going. Do it every day. Do it every day. Again, if you get in a disaster or an emergency situation, if your family members know how hard you work and that they know how much you love them, it will help you and them get through any kind of situation that you're going to get through. Now, let me talk about some examples. Here are a few examples of goals that you can set as a family. First, when to have certain preps done. When to have certain preparedness items put together and done. Set a goal. Being able to bug out in a certain amount of time. Now again, what have I said about bugging out? What have I said about bugging out? Bugging out should be a last resort. If you cannot stay in your home for any reason, you need to bug out and have a way to get out of there, meaning a vehicle, bicycle, different routes that you could take, have at least 3 routes wherever you're going to go, and then also have 3 different places to go to. This is not an emergency situation right now. Plan for it. Make goals. Set goals. Go see those places you would bug out to before you have to bug out. Make sure you're able to do it. If the place is a campground or anything like it, make sure they will have a place for you during an emergency. If you have to put out a few dollars and save a few dollars to reserve that space, do it. You'll be farther ahead. That way, when something happens, you can get in there. Second, being able to bug out in a certain amount of time, plan on it. Don't do it in the middle of the day where everybody's watching you. They might think you're moving. Don't give them that benefit. Do it under the color of darkness, so nobody is knowing what's going on and nobody's watching you. Do it in a certain amount of time. Being able to load up your vehicle in any trailer you're going to pull, whatever it takes, bug out in a certain amount of time. Time yourself. Time yourself. Then take the things back in your home. So when you have to bug out, you give yourself an amount of time to load everything in your car and be gone. Third, how much food you're going to have in your food storage. How much food will you have in your food storage? Right now, I'm asking everybody to have at least 3 months of food in your food storage. Carol and I have over 6 months worth of food in our food storage. That's in our pantry as well. We have 6 months worth of food in our food storage here. Once you reach that goal of 3 months, then make it 6 months, then make it a year. Work towards having a year of food storage in your home. Make a goal of having a year's worth of food storage in your home. Yes, right now you might start of having a goal of 3 months worth of food. Then work on 6 months and then a year. Okay? You'll be able to achieve it then. It's achievable. It's very achievable. Now these tools are great on their own, but how can they be used together? How can these tools be used together? Personally, I have found that when I set goals, I am more likely to accomplish my intentions if I have a reward system built into it. So if my goal is to have an emergency plan for 6 disasters, or all kinds of emergencies and disasters, that's what I've done. Okay? I've set a goal to have a plan, an emergency plan, to handle any kind of emergency or disaster that Carol and I or our family will face. Write a plan. Write a plan. Plan for any kind of emergency or disaster that you could face. If you don't understand what those could be, check with your fire department. Check with the chief of police. Check with your fire chief. Check with your town or city emergency manager. Sit down with them. Discuss the kinds of emergencies and or disasters that you and the city would face. That way you can start planning for those things. That's what you need to do. Okay? When you complete those plans, set up a reward system for yourself and your family. Set up a reward system for your family. Buying gear or anything that you might need or want. The reward for goals should be written into your budget. The reward for goals met should be written into your budget. And have a set amount. Have a set amount. If you reach that goal, put the amount in savings. Put the amount in savings. Okay? One of my recent goals a while back was to not spend money on things I didn't need for a month. That happened last year. So that I could increase my savings and that I could pay bills. If remember last September when the federal government had reached the end of its fiscal year, I wasn't sure whether Social Security was going to send my money. They were late, but they finally sent it. I had someone that also helped me, which I will never forget. I appreciate that. Okay? Set a goal. Set a goal, guys. Set a goal. Even set a goal to not spend money on anything you don't need for at least a month, so you could increase your savings. As a reward, I picked one thing that I wanted really bad for my wife. Not for me, but for my wife. And I will buy it once I save a certain amount of money, which I did. Yes, Dr. James Place needs a new laptop. Work it into your budget. Work it into your budget. But I picked one thing that I wanted really badly for Carol. And then once I achieved that goal, I was able to get that for her. No, it wasn't a big amount of money, but it was something Carol really wanted. Okay? Think about that. Sig Sauer, you're here. Thank you very much for being here. Sig is one of my dearest friends as well. Thank you, Sig. Sig is here in the chat saying, rotate your preps. Rotation. Rotation. Why? Because, folks, if you don't rotate your food, you might end up seeing food go bad on you. You don't want that to happen. When you buy new food, put the new food in back of the old food. Use the food that you have on your shelf right now. Check your dates. Rotate your food. Rotate your food. Okay? Setting budgeting goals is essential to a successful budget. If there is no goal behind the budget, the chances of a person who set the budget following it are slim, and maybe none. If the goal is to simply save money, that provides a person with a reason to follow their budget. But if you don't have a goal set, a specific goal set, having that simply a goal to save money, maybe not being able to achieve it. Set a specific goal. I'm going to say $10, $20 I'm going to save. Then hit that goal. That is a very easily achievable goal. Set a specific goal. And when you achieve it, you can pat yourself on the back. Now, I don't want to keep going here for very long because I know you guys have things to do, and Carol and I also want to spend some time together. In conclusion, there are many skills or tools a person can use and should develop. There are many goals and skills that you could use to set goals and develop things that you need to have. When participating in emergency preparedness, these goals can be very satisfying, and they can help you get out of a hole. Being proficient in budgeting, goal setting, and practicing to achieve those goals. Let me repeat that. Being proficient in budgeting, goal setting, and practicing to achieve those goals are major ingredients in learning how to survive a disaster. Okay? Set those goals. Practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. Okay? Practice makes perfect. Don Patoga said that many times. Okay? Practice makes perfect. Set goals. Set goals. Planning for emergencies. Planning for emergencies. Learn how to budget. Don Patoga just did something I knew he was going to do. Preparation is an insurance policy, an insurance plan for possible personal safety issues. Providing for personal armor. Providing personal armor for live eventualities. If you are prepared as the scriptures teach us, you should not fear. Dr. James Place says, how does an extra $520 a year sound? It sounds great. It sounds great. But we need to prepare for it. We need to prepare for it. Does anybody have any questions for me? Don says here in the chat, be fully prepared for the intrigue, the drama. Yes, there's going to be drama. Prepare for the intrigue, the drama, and adventure of the reality of life. And adapt and overcome. Take definitive defensive action before the issues occur. Absolutely. Absolutely. Does anybody have any questions for me? Now, I've been in the scriptures a lot lately. I don't write scriptures here. I'm not that smart. I've read a lot of scriptures here in the past. I've read scriptures here that teach us to be prepared. I've read scriptures here that teach us to love each other. That talk to us about loving each other. One of the greatest scriptures that I will never forget as long as I live. Never ever forget. God so loved the world, He gave His only begotten Son. God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. Sent His Son here to earth for each one of us. It was part of His plan for all of us for eternity. The Lord has talked about loving each other as we love ourselves. The Lord has also talked about loving each other, loving our family, loving our spouses as we love ourselves. Please do that. On this Valentine's Day, let's think about love and what it truly means. Let's love the Savior. Let's love our Heavenly Father. Let's love our families, our spouses, our children, and our extended family as well. May God bless you this day. May God bless you this day and always. I wish you a happy Valentine's Day. We will be back here on Sunday at 12 noon with our weekly Sunday school class called Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. Between 12 and 12:30 noon, we'll be back here on the air with our weekly Sunday school class, Come Follow Me. I ask all of you to be here with us. We'd love to see you. We really would. If anything else happens tonight or tomorrow, If anything else happens in the way of disasters or emergencies tonight or tomorrow, we will be back here to talk about it as soon as the information becomes available. If nothing happens, you won't see us tomorrow. Okay? I may do a members only thing tomorrow morning, if I'm able to. I'm planning on doing a members only broadcast on Monday. So be here watching that on Monday with us. May God be with you this day and always. Again, I want to tell you Happy Valentine's Day, and I love each and every one of you. I really do. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Have a great night. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. God bless. We'll see you soon. Good night.